Hey, hey, hey. Give us 1 second. We're going live momentarily with the Power of Love and Connection podcast. We want to hear your feedback tonight. Give me 1 minute just to make sure you can hear us good. Make sure we're live. All this technical stuff is part of the fun. All right, here we go. All right, everyone. So welcome, 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 welcome. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Power of Love and Connection podcast. I am so excited about tonight. This is our very first live episode. And tonight's topic is really inspiring to me. We're talking, so before I do that, I want to do a quick commercial. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Power of Love and Connection. You can search both on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts is always 1 week behind. So you'll get last week's YouTube recording on Apple Podcasts. But either way, subscribe on YouTube. Help me get to 1,000 viewers by the end of February. So tonight's episode is really inspiring. I'm so excited about the topic. So we're talking about advice to your 20 and 30-year-old self. I got so much to say, but I'm not doing all the talking tonight. I am conversating tonight with two people that I love and appreciate dearly. We are all different, so I'm sure this discussion is going to be really fun, but also really inspiring and motivating. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Antonio. Tell us who you are.
My name is Antonio Vaulx. I am the nephew of the founder of Power of Love Connections, Allison Vaulx. So I'm Antonio Vaulx.
All right. Jojo, introduce yourself.
So I am Jolene, dearest friend, very excited to have this conversation about my younger me, the younger me, to talk to the old version of me, I should say. So I'm Jolene. You can call me Jo.
All right. So those introductions really don't do justice to who these two individuals are, but I'm not gonna linger there. I'm not gonna linger there. I'm sure who they are will come out. Neither one of them are shy. Neither one of them. So let's jump into the topic. So tonight's topic is advice to, it was originally 30-year-old me. And in conversations with different people, they recommended, no, we need to go back to 20. So it's a combination of advice to 30-year-old me and 20-year-old me. Now, I am going to I'm gonna launch it out there. Do one of you want to start? Let me start with one of mine. So when I was preparing for tonight's show, I was thinking about what would I say to oh, I have so much to say to me. I have so much to say to me. And then I realized something. I'm big on affirmations, vision boards. I have big post-it notes on my wall. And I was glancing up at one of the post-it notes that defines my name and that breaks down my name. Like I am beautiful. I realized that that's a whole list of things that younger me never got. Like I never got. And so I don't know if I want to so the list is right up there. That's why I keep looking up. I don't know if I want to go through the whole list, but and I might start crying at some point. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. But the biggest one for me, the one that I constantly remind myself about, that's the only one I'm gonna start with, and then I'm gonna open it up because I want to hear what you guys got to say, is that I am loved.
Mm.
I'm just gonna stop right there. Young
Wow.
20 and 30-year-old me never got that. We just didn't get it. And so I got it now, but it took me so long to get there. And I was like, whoa, like to be able to go back and say to 20-year-old me, you are loved. And for 20 or 30 year, even 30 years, if one of us could have gotten that, I think the course of my life would be so very different. I don't want to
Wow.
say better. I'll just say different. In the
Wow.
back of my mind, I think better, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
just say different. So go ahead. What y'all think? What y'all think?
Yeah, I'll just hop in, just kind of just listening to you talk when you pose the question before I go into really kind of unpacking what I would say. I was wondering what would I say to my first thought 30, then I was like, no, so much more happened at 20 that needed to prepare me for 30 that I was like, I would like to talk to my 20-year-old self, but I thought about the question and I started going into a different avenue with that question and thinking about what are all the things I didn't have. And then something stopped me and was like, but wait, at 20, you was doing some amazing things at 20 that I don't, not that our generations are different, but at 20, there were also some really amazing things that I was doing, but there are also some things that I wish I knew and was able to affirm. But I was teetering and tottering between what were some of the things that I wish I would have known that I think would have positioned me a little bit better for that 30, for that 40-year-old self, for that other year old self person that's soon to come. But
Right.
it had me thinking about both. What were some of the things that were good at 20? And then what were some of the things that I wish I had at 20, or things I wish I would have known to kind of gripped? So I'll just drop one. I'll just drop
Okay.
one.
Okay.
And
I'm
then
hanging on a thread.
Antonio, I'll
I'm
pass it
waiting.
to
I'm waiting
you.
on it.
But one thing, I'll just position myself to at when I was at 20. I'll paint this picture. At 20, I was living at home with my mom, and I was in college for my associate's degree, and I was in a very, very, very serious relationship. And I'm gonna stop there. At
You
20.
can't stop there.
Ah! At 20.
Stop there. You cannot stop there. Okay, and
And I
to
was
20-year-old person who is there.
at 20, yeah, I had stuff. I was accomplished. I feel like financially, I had things going for myself. I had experienced a little bit of life with traveling. At 20, I was
That's incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so what would you go back and say? Okay, so I know you don't want to unleash the beast, but what would you go back and say to 20-year-old you who was a little bit well established in a serious
Mhm.
relationship, traveling a little bit, just that aspect of you? What would you say to her?
So my 20-year-old self, thinking back to that version of me, I was safe. I played everything safe. I was not a risk taker, but everything in me was screaming, be a risk taker, take the leap, just go. And if I would have had the courage, and I ain't gonna cry, but I might cry. But if I would
Wow.
have had the courage at 20 to do, oh, they coming, y'all.
I that's why I
If,
had to stop
if
talking earlier. I was like, ooh.
if I would have had the courage to do some of the things that I was feeling pressure to do, I believe that my life will look totally different than it is now. My faith and my ability and strength to take risks would be a lot higher. But everything,
Wow.
I played a lot of things safe, behind the scenes. I said, and with limits. And if the limits were, it's just because I didn't know who I was and I just didn't have the courage to take those leaps, to
Yeah.
take the limits off and just go for it. I think about like 20-year-olds now, man, they're the greatest risk takers. Like they
Right.
inspire me because they take risks. And I'm like,
Yes.
man, at your age, I wish I had the courage to take the risk that they take now at that age. Things would just be vastly different, I'm sure, for my life.
I want to hear from Tony, but I have to respond to that two ways. It's so amazing. I didn't know you then, but even the risks that you do take, you take safe risks, but there's still risks. There are levels of risk, but it's still safe risk. Me, so I don't know if she remembers this. I have to reach back and ask her. I was safe up until college. I met a friend, Crystal Baker Woods. Crystal, if you are listening to this, you are responsible for some of this. Crystal was so brave. I called it brave. I was like, man, that girl is brave. And Crystal used to say all the time, I would rather wish that I hadn't than to wish that I had. And
Wow.
so I asked her, I don't know if she remembers this, but I asked her, I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, I would rather do something and regret that I did it than to wish that I had done it. And for me, I took it to the extreme. So I had from that point on, from it was freshman year in college until today. that that risk taking me just shows up, and behind me there's a trail of stuff, and I'm like, I'm glad social media, and I'm glad we didn't live in that time, because I don't know. And then now though it serves me well because it has evolved into faith. Like now that's faith to me. And so, but I count on God. Like it's calculated because it's done. My risk equals faith. And faith without works is dead. And so for me, it's like, okay, God, I gotta leap. Let's leap. Like now, if I die, just make sure everything's. I care nothing about the risk associated with faith. So Tony, there is so much I can say. I'm not gonna go. Okay, Tony, I want to hear. What about you? What you've been nodding there? Like what
No,
about?
I am so like overwhelmed that you guys' collaboration, all of this stuff is like really intertwined. And it's really, like you said, busting into tears, because the transparency to have this conversation and to go back takes boldness. So I want to commend you even for the risk taking. I see the risk taking, I see the result of your risk taking. So I appreciate
Wait,
that.
can I
But
say one thing? Can I say one
sure.
thing? 2024, one of my goals is being audacious and bold. So thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Well,
I'm
we
listening.
own it then. You already own it. So look, I'm glad that you said the 20, right? Because just like she was saying when she was 20, Joe, so when I was at 20, oh my God, I had some opportunities, and I just wish that I were bold enough to have gone the extra mile, because at the age of 20, I was traveling, I was singing, I was living in like California, dealing with the producers of Belle Biv DeVoe. I was in New York 3 months, California 6 months. Everything paid for. I'm in New Jersey. I'm singing. I'm doing shows. Nas, Wu-Tang, Rotten Rascals. You probably ain't heard of them now. Rotten Rascals is old, but Naughty by Nature. So I'm doing shows, right? And I'm in an era. I'm in an era called the struggling artist at this time. And you talking about struggling artists, that is exactly what it was. So when Jolene mentioned about the risk taken at 20, if I would have endured a little longer, because
Wow.
I'm telling you, I'm on the stages with these people. I'm doing this, but the discomfort was I'm living in New Jersey. I'm way from Gary, Indiana. All my family's in Indiana. I'm staying with this person and staying with that person, but yet they like, this is part of the struggling artist. And so I saw some of the enjoyment and some of the fulfillment of that, which I can't go into detail. I'm a singer. I sound good. I was looking good. This is at that age. This is at that age. And so there were door openings, but at the same time, you had these these things that people didn't see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so, but I just wish, I'm telling you, if I could say, dude, you better go ahead and stick in there. Don't give up. I know what it looked like. I'm telling you, I would have been somewhere right now. And I just, that part I regret. I'm glad that God saved me in the midst of it, but I was there. I was on the verge. I was on the edge. I'm telling you, man. Oh man, it was great. And the radio stations, people fronting us clothes. It was clothes. We was doing shows and we didn't have to buy our clothes. They was buying the stuff for us. I'm just everywhere. I'm in Hollywood at Prince Club, a place called Larry Parker's. If anybody knows about Larry Parker's in Hollywood, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I'm doing my thing. I'm telling you, I was all over the place. And
Wow.
I'm here now, but I still never stop. I'm still singing, I'm still doing my thing, but it's just I just wish I had that door opening right now. I would plunge, I wouldn't listen to nobody. And so that's just the first one. So this is great.
That's good. That man, what's interesting is I just perspective. I remember your 20-year-old period, but I only knew a layer of it. I only remember a layer. I remember thinking, what an amazing journey. Like, you know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
knowing the behind the scenes stuff, not knowing that there was so much more to it than the glamorous part of it. Um, so this is mine kind of springs from that. Another one, I wish I had known the power of connection and friendship back then.
Yes.
Even family, not just friendship, but just the power of like how those relationships and friendships, even family relationships, could help me commit and stay strong. And like this,
Right.
never done this. I shared on one of the episodes, I was like, I ain't never talked about some of this stuff with nobody. It just doesn't come up. I didn't grow up in a family that talked about stuff, but I talked about it to myself or in my journal. I got so many journals. Like I wrote about it. I wanted to talk about it, but I think that if 20-year-old me had known the power of holding on, not even just embracing some of those relationships and friendships and connections, that probably would have helped with some of what I feel like 20-year-old me didn't get.
Wow. Yes.
Like pushing me to continue. If I quit something back then, I didn't have anybody saying, don't quit, don't like go for it. It was me relying on me. Yeah. And I wasn't enough to encourage now I can now because of that. Now I do, all things work together for good. I do thank God because not having it then helped me not need it now. To me, that's how he worked it together for good. I don't need motivation. I like it, but if I say I'm gonna start a podcast, I'm gonna start a podcast. I don't have to have the equipment, the experience. It doesn't have to succeed, but I'm gonna start and so I think about that all the time because I didn't have people who were pushing me to do stuff. I got used to pushing myself. And to this day, I love being encouraged, but I don't need it. Like,
right. Wow.
I just don't need it. Yeah. I just don't need it. So what else? Ooh, these are good. What else? What's another?
Like I'm thinking about that, like kind of when you highlight both family and relationships, back then we did stuff like with friends. It has me thinking about it, like, did we really get in the trenches with each other? To really know, like, know each other's struggles. Like I see what it is that you're trying to do, and really having that, I call you all, like now, like I have certain trench sisters who
Hmm.
know when I'm in that place now I do. When I'm in that place, those friends know how to come and get me up out of that place without me having to say anything. But thinking back then, I don't know that those relationships or friendships were authentic, because I probably wasn't authentic with myself, because at 20,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't fully even know, I didn't even really know who to present, so I'm evolving. And I was thinking about, like, at that time, I was in a career, and this is live, right? This is
This
live.
is
Okay.
live, ma'am. This
So,
is live. This is no
all
none of
right,
that
all
fake.
right, all right.
No,
Okay.
this live.
So
This live.
let me buffer this where I can. But I was going to school for information systems. What I knew in my knower, and in all of my childhood, what I aspired to be was a teacher. I was,
Hmm.
Wow.
I was when I played house with my cousins, I was the teacher and they were the students. Um, but let's see, how do I frame it? I ended up getting into a degree and going to school for something that I was told, mom said, you go to school for that degree that's gonna get you money. And going back to that courage and that confidence, my knower said, no, you're a teacher. And I didn't listen to that inner voice. But again, when we're talking about that authentic self showing up, my authentic self
Right.
was really showing up and revealing itself at 20, because of just that safety. Well, my parents said, go to school because this degree is going to make you money. Well, 10 years or 5 years after going to school, getting my associate's bachelor's degree in information systems, I find myself finally starting to peek out and say, I'm going to quit that. I got into the field of technology, and then I decided to talk up for myself, but I was grown at that point, grown. But I decided to make this huge career change into teaching. But my authentic self really didn't start to emerge until maybe that 30-year-old self.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, so it's just thinking about that with the relationships and friendships, like that accountability. How can you be accountable if I'm not giving you myself? I'm not giving you my authentic self. I'm not giving you who
Yeah.
I really am. And we're trying to figure out life all together. I'm going to school. I'm getting this car. It's all defined by things and getting, but ain't nobody dealing with the inner parts.
Yeah.
Right.
That is so deep. I see a couple of comments in the chat. I'm gonna mention in a sec. What I so still the other side of that, you keep mentioning you safe zone, and I keep seeing my risk at that age. And I remember at 18, 19, maybe 19, 20, I pledged. And I remember, man, my childhood was interesting. I'm just gonna call it interesting. I a blanket. We'll lay a blanket over it, and maybe one day we'll talk about it. But
Ditto.
that strong, my connections were to, like, my nephew, my nieces, and like so they were 3 years, 4, 5 years behind me. And so when I went to college and they went their separate places, I remember when Tony went to New York, but so that connection was gone. Like that was my
Mm.
little unit. And then I didn't have, so when I went to college, I remember pledging, and the stuff going on, like all that not feeling love, all those things were still in play, even though I was moving forward. And I remember um during one pledge week, one day of our pledging, I remember I want to get through this. I don't want to cry. I remember like really being overwhelmed. Is rising up too quick. I remember being really overwhelmed with life, even though I was trying to live it differently. and wanting to commit suicide. But this is at 18 or 19. I wrote, so the girls that pledged with me, what you said, they gave me that loving feeling that I hadn't experienced before, to the point that I wrote a note and
Wow.
and gave it to them. Like that's, to me, that was me not know. So we formed those really genuine, authentic connections, but I wasn't accustomed to it. So I myself wasn't formed enough to be able to value and appreciate that. But I do remember that. I remember like this is I love this feeling, but I didn't know how to handle that feeling. I hear somebody in the chat say, "Oh, that's Don. Hey, Don. I want to." Everybody, this is Power of Love and Connection podcast. This conversation is so good. We're talking about what you would say to your 20 and 30-year-old self. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is live on Facebook right now, but subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave your feedback in the comments because I want to bring some of them up for my guest tonight. So Donna Lane in the comments said, I recently said that I feel like in my 20s, I was trying to find myself, but my 30s, I'm refining myself. I want to read the whole thing. It's not that I don't know who I am, but I think it's being more fortified and fine-tuned, if that makes sense. Dawn, that makes more sense than you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That you were even able to articulate it makes
Yes.
sense. What do you guys think about Dawn's comment?
Tony, I'll let you go.
I think it takes boldness. I think it takes boldness to be able to admit it. And it's like if I'm holding an issue in my hand, the only way I can get that issue resolved is to open up and say, here is the issue. So by opening up and saying, yes, this is where I am right now, now that help will come because you've opened up to say, this is where I am. And now that help is going to come, whether people call it the universe, whether you say the world, whether you say God, but by opening up, that help will come because you've released it. So that's good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that point, just like opening up on like getting the word, like just being able, Don, to locate yourself. You know,
Yes.
it's because the one thing I'm learning life, and as we go through transitions in our journey of life, it's never like it doesn't stop. We're forever evolving. And so really taking the limits off of that, like we can say this is who I am, but life might happen again, as it will and it shall, and it is like living it right now. Now all of a sudden I'm learning a whole different woman that maybe just 5 or 6 years ago this wasn't this person. So that refining process is never ending. Don,
Yes.
that's a really, really, really powerful word. But life and experiences continue to keep refining and repurposing, where we continue to start to learn like, hey, this is a part of my identity. Hey,
Right.
I really like this, or hey, this is my style, this is my thing, this is my jam. So we're constantly being refined,
Yes.
and even back to us talking about taking risk. Now, I didn't pick my friends. I'm gonna just say this. People know it, the live group fact. Y'all know me and Allie been rocking for a while. We didn't pick this friendship. Like this, and if I could, like all of my trench friends, I'll say that I didn't pick these chicks. I did not handpick and say, oh, hey, let's be friends. These women that surround me are all risk takers. So even like knowing that's not necessary, I take safe risks, Allie's perfect word. But God has aligned me around the most radical, faith living, risk taking, just jump, catch your wings on your way down women. And they're the people that I can go to Allie and be like, hey, Allie, let's do this. And she's like, okay, come on, let's do it. And I was like, wait, I was just talking. And she like, she's already
Mhm.
doing the research and taking the steps and then on to the next thing. But I'm grateful that I think that safe risk taker is a part of who I am. So I don't fully discount that 20-year-old part of me, because I think it's also a balance to all of these risk takers in my life that have been truly, that I've been divinely connected to. But they encourage me to take those risks and help me take it safely. I know I could take a wild risk with Allison and feel safe, but it's a wild risk. Like, are we really about to do this? She, yeah, girl, let's do it. This story I'm gonna tell.
Oh Lord.
It's clean.
Oh,
Remember, Allison, when we did that ATV tour and in that water?
oh yeah. Oh,
Oh
oh,
my God.
oh.
Like, we took a risk on a tour that we signed up to just do ATV riding. Why? Because it was safe. We wasn't trying to swim across no zip lines and go into no cave and under no water. So I would have said no. Allison would have probably still said
They have
yes.
four things and we were
It
gonna
was
do one.
one, yes.
Right.
But when we got to this one part of this, I'm gonna speed it up to this cave. We didn't know that we was gonna be in water. We were with a
Oh
tour
man.
guide. God knew it was us two and it was a couple that was with our group. So it was only four of us. We had a tour guide, but in order to get to the other side, we had to get in this water that you could not see the floor. And me and Allison had one floaty that we were a life preserver. We had this one
Mhm.
preserver that she and we had to use it to get to the other side. So they're like, all of the other fake takes like, come on, yeah, let's do it. You'll be fine. But I was terrified, like nervous, afraid. This was probably the first time I saw in my friend's face that she regretted
I thought I was
taking
gonna die.
this.
I thought I was dead. I
We
did.
thought we were dead. We thought we were dead in the water. But because she was with me and I know that she is that risk taker, I probably wouldn't have crossed that water by myself without her. He would have had to have taken me back some way, somehow through them zip lines or them ATVs, or they would have had to reroute that whole thing if it were just me. But being with the risk taker, she helped me because she did it, I did it. I was like, all right, well, we gonna do this, friend, right? Oh yeah, come on, let's go. Like, but I
And
needed
and
that
then when I lived,
right.
like then when I remember this because I really so today I really feel like 20-year-old me didn't feel like this, 30-year-old me didn't feel like this, 40-year-old me was experimenting with this. But today, 50-year-old me is confident, even if it ain't true, that I can do anything I want. It's so weird. I know it. I know it. And so, but I remember after we lived, my adrenaline was on fire. Like,
I'm
and what was
sure.
the third? The third thing was zip lining in the
Oh,
in
that
the
drop into, yeah,
the
you did. You took
into the
that,
abyss. And
yeah.
I had not prepared. I was like, no, I hadn't wore. They told, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't need to dress for that. But after we
Wow.
lived, I was watching those people, and I was standing there, and I was like, I'm doing it.
I
And I had
You
on,
did jump into that
I
water.
did. I took
Yeah.
off my shirt, and I was like,
Yep.
excuse me, people. I know these ain't the right, but and I was like, but the only reason I did it is because it was living. It was living from that other thing that I knew I was gonna die. And man, I dove, did that zip line, dove into that lake, ocean, or whatever, and I was like, I still thought I was gonna die
And
underwater
not
because I
knowing how to
can't.
swim.
I, but 20, 20, 30-year-old me, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Um, ain't no way. But something, if if I could, one of the things I could tell 20 and 30-year-old me is to um is faith. Like I didn't get saved until 1990, whatever age that was. I don't even, ain't nobody doing no math tonight. But when I understood what faith could do, I started exploring that. It wasn't until maybe about 2015, I can mark the moment when faith started to come alive for me. And I wish that 20 and 30-year-old me knew how powerful faith was. I, I felt it, but I didn't know it until, and you know how I know I felt it? Because I was the first one in my family to go to college, and didn't nobody know nothing about college. My parents didn't know how to fill out the forms. You know, my daddy driving me up to the dorm, and we was all like, what we supposed to do? And I came from a family that, you know, that just wasn't their path by the time I was, you know, at that point. I'm not saying it was never their path, but I remember 20 and 30-year-old me saying, you know, just being so scared. Gosh, I was scared. You guys, I was so scared going to college. And I was like, what if I fail? And I did. I mean, but I I did. I took risks in college, but I also motivated and inspired self. I got pregnant to go back. So I finished, I went on, got my master's degree. I even got a scholarship to do my doctorate degree, and I turned it down. I was like, yeah. But 20 and 30, even though these aren't regrets, 20 and 30-year-old me had boldness and audacity in me. It was not knowing that I was loved that kept slowing me down, and kept sending me along this path of questioning. I want to read this is good. I want to read, you guys, this is the Power of Love and Connection podcast. Please like and subscribe. Subscribing is important on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Power of Love and Connection on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. New shows drop Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight, we're talking about advice to 20 and 30-year-old you. Drop some of that info. Drop your questions or advice to 20 and 30-year-old you in the chat, because we want to talk about it. I have these amazing special guests, Tony, Antonio, and Jolene. This next part of the conversation, we're going to talk about some comments in the chat. And also, I want to read my list, and y'all just grab the one that that resonates. So just in case you're wondering, I'm looking up at my vision board, you guys, and I shared at the beginning of the show that what I realized when I was preparing for tonight is that the things that I continuously affirm myself about, that's the same advice to 20 and 30-year-old me, because I didn't have confidence in those things. I know these things now. I know it. And it's tied directly to my relationship. Like, you can't tell me that I am not these things. You just can't. And so my list, let me scoot back just a little bit. I don't want to mess up. Okay. My list says, so 20-year-old me, I'm loving. You are loved, 20-year-old and 30-year-old me. Your truth. Oh, I used to lie a lot back then. That I didn't. Anyway, let me read the list. That you're beautiful, 20 and 30-year-old me. That you are kind, that you have a pure heart, that you're a leader. I didn't know that back then. 20 and 30-year-old me didn't know that I was a leader. That I'm a giver, that I'm favored by God, that I'm loyal. What else? I was covered, that I was powerful and complete. That's a big one. 20 and 30-year-old me didn't know that I was complete. I thought I needed a man, a boy, a this, a that. That you're courageous, that you're restored, that you have purpose, this is the biggest one, that I always win. Like, I used to, when I look back at my life, I see that stuff as victory, but 20 and 30-year-old me thought I was failing. I thought I was a failure for the majority part of my life. That I am intelligent, that I'm here. Ooh, this last one, 20 and 30-year-old me, that I am enough.
Amen. I love
I'm
it.
enough. So
My God.
let's talk about them. What 20 and 30-year-old you and those things, like what, man, I got a lot.
Mm,
I got a lot to say to 20 and 30-year-old me.
I got a whole lot to say about it. Man, I wish I would have known. It's so ironic to me because you said that you were not loved. I'm telling you, I loved you so much. Still do, but I'm saying, loved you so much. You was the first one that went to college. That was such a blessing. It was an honor. And then I was like, wow. So the fact of knowing now that you didn't know how loved you were, I'm telling you, I used to love standing singing with you. And just the fact that my Aunt Allison is the same one. Yeah, she just graduated from Vaulx. Yeah, well, now I'm at Vaulx. So the love, I wish I would have known that because the way I reach out to people now, I would tell my 20-year-old self, you need to be more bold because I allowed so much to happen that shouldn't have happened. If I would have been bold enough or strong enough, it would not have happened. I would have told my 20-year-old, 30-year-old self, get your behind back in school. Like my grandfather, Sweet Meat, used to say, Bird, you better take up a trade. I mean, because that's what they call me, Bird. But all he knew about take up a trade, find something new. I wish the 20-year-old self was bold enough and confident enough in himself to not have to depend on man. Oh my God. Because it's like I needed or I wanted to hear from somebody else because I didn't have it in myself to believe that I was greater than what I really was. Because like now I feel like I can do anything. But I sure wish I knew back then I would be so much further right now than where I am. And I'm telling you, hey, it is what it is now. It is what it is now. But I'm telling you, I would have been, me and Usher probably would have been on the stage, me and Chris Brown, because they stole some of my
Yeah.
dance moves anyway. But I'm just saying, I'm telling you, because I still have that skill. But if I would have had that boldness and not telling everybody what my dream was, because everybody don't believe in your dream. And you can't expect for them to push you, even though they know that you have the potential. So I wish I would have known that. Antonio, go to school. Stop listening to them folks. You ain't got to have them around you. They don't believe what you believe. You got to do this, even if they don't go or not. You can't be afraid of leaving folks behind. I'm telling you. Oh my God.
Ooh,
So
that's good.
Wow, I got questions and thoughts rolling. Like, I guess, just thinking through that lesson, Antonio, listening to you and Allie, at 20, when we think about a 20-year-old, just the teacher in me is rising. But
I
developmentally,
warned you.
I know, but developmentally, and it ain't long-winded, but developmentally, a 20-year-old doesn't know all of that because all of that stuff is what's inside. So I guess it has me wondering just about, all of us and talking about these things, like, it sounds like, be it family, be it friends, be it church community, be it teachers, whoever is around us, like this is giving me insight in my now. When we encounter 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds who's around them that's pulling that stuff out. You need somebody to pull that stuff out. So I don't think I can safely say I don't think it came from any of our families. If it
pull
can
out,
come
pour
from,
in.
yeah, it didn't. So if it's not coming from there, then nobody saw us.
Right. That's good.
Nobody saw the inside. They saw what we were doing, but nobody saw that we were enough. Nobody saw that you were smart. Nobody said, Antonio, get your butt back in school. I see what you're created to do. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
nobody is saying, Jolene, go take that risk. You want to go away to school? Girl, go. Like nobody is seeing what's inside of us to do these courageous things or to just own that and know you're enough, you're loved, you're creative, like you, all of these internal things that we need to affirm and empower us to be able to do all of these other things. You need that stuff. Somebody needs to see that 20-year-old person. So it's like it's, I guess I'm just getting a thread here, like we just weren't seen.
You are saying. Now, what you said. So as you were talking, I was trying to remember who saw me. Someone saw me. Like
Mhm.
it, it was outside of my family, and I was trying to so when I told you my sorority, like they saw me. Um, to this day, that same kind of acceptance is still present in those relationships. Even though we haven't talked a long time, like it's still present. When I was when I was in college, I went to college for accounting for the same reason. My daddy told me, you be an accountant, you're gonna make a lot of money. And I was like math like that. But I did because they were paying. And when I got there, I met someone who knew I was a writer and said, "Why don't you start writing for the newspaper?" And I was like, "Okay." And I changed my major without anybody knowing and went into journalism and communications and media, my space.
Wow.
And so that was a risk. And even after that, that's the path I pursued. Um, Today, the work that I do, all the skills from that skill set, they come from me following that path. Like they translate. They translate fundraising, development, uh media production. I was behind the scenes. I wasn't in front of the camera, but and so I same but even then I had a professor who saw me. She was like, "You're really good at this part of this. You should do this." And I never acknowledged to her, but to self, I was like, "I am really good at this."
Mhm.
Now I say it back to people. A lady told me today, she was like, you really are good at this. I said, "I am good at this." So but it's not arrogant. It's faith. And it is confidence in who God created me to be. Like all this confidence and risk taking and all of that, it's not outside of my faith in God. Like it's solely connected to that. If that didn't exist, this person would not exist. So there were people who saw me.
Mm.
There
Yeah.
were people who saw me. It wasn't the people I needed to see me,
Gotcha.
but some people saw me. So that was a good point. That was a good point. What else? You were gonna say something else? Um, 20 and 30-year-old self. What 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 do we I have one, but I'm gonna hold it until after y'all give me another good one. I'm gonna
Well,
hold it.
my last one is this. The less expectation that you have for
Ooh,
people, the less disappointment
that's
you will
good.
have.
That's good.
Now, it took me, I'm
Mm.
talking about this is recent, maybe 4 or 5 years recent. If I don't have any expectations, it will lessen my disappointment. Now, yes, you're always supposed to have expectation, but to exclude people out the equation is sometimes hard because when people tell you stuff, everybody can't be like you. So, like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If I say I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna text you, I'm gonna text you. I can't expect for you to do the same thing just because I do it. But I did expect that because you said it. But now my expectation, people will take you up to the mountaintop with their words and drop you down to the valley. And
So
now
true.
you're crushed. You crushed because of what they told you. You expected them because you thought that they were like you. Well, you think that everybody's going to be that way, but you cannot. I will no longer. I don't expect people. I don't. It's a shame. It was painful, but I don't expect people to do stuff that they said they're going to do, because I don't want to put my expectation, my thoughts way up here expecting something, and then it doesn't happen. And then I waited, and that prolonged where I could be. And that has messed me up because I was waiting on what you said to take place, and now it didn't. And now I'm behind. And the devil is a liar. I'm so much greater than that. And I can't allow you to mess up where I'm supposed to be. And I wish I knew that. I'm telling you, I would be in some places right now. I would already be paying for some of your my blessing. One of my goals is to bless you, and so I'm still banking on the fact that I got something big coming in my life, and I want to bless the people that has blessed me. And I ain't waiting on
Wow,
nobody else to give it to me. I'm gonna get there on my own, and that's just what I believe. It's too much in me not to get there, but I wish I would have known that. If I could
man.
have told my 20, 30-year-old self that, man, please, I wouldn't have been waiting on folks. So this is where I am, but I'm going. I'm going further. So
That's
Amen.
it. That's it. We touching and agreeing. We are marking this moment.
Amen.
amen.
Yeah.
We 20 and 30-year-old self
Yeah.
uh back reflections are being manifested the way they need to be now, currently.
Amen.
Amen.
What you
Amen.
what you saying, Jojo? You look like you got something stewing.
I think another uh man, this is live, right? I keep saying
This
it.
is live. The people can tell when you're holding back. So
Yeah,
we
so
need to hear this.
I want to message it right, but I think like that's 20-year-old, and then when I move to this 30-year-old self, I probably would say what's the book? Necessary Endings.
Ooh, yes, that's one of my
Hmm.
Necessary
rereads. Reread.
Endings. Reread on repeat. Who's the author? Is it Henry?
Is it Cloud and Townsend
Cloud? Yes,
or
Cloud.
yep,
It's
Cloud.
Henry something Cloud.
Yep, yep.
We'll put it in the chat.
We'll put
But
it in the comments. I'm looking it up right now.
necessary endings is being okay with endings, with people, with jobs, and relationships, that friendships, all of it throughout life, being okay with endings. I think that 30-year-old self stayed in places and things a little bit too long for
Lord
that
Jesus.
20-year-old stuff. Safety,
Yeah.
comfort, afraid to take that risk. Oh, what will happen? So I'll just stay safe. I'll stay safe here. I'm safe here because this is familiar. This I know, and just that, no, is being okay with bringing things to an end when you know that time, that season, lifetime, wherever you want to place it.
Wow.
Yep.
Understanding that people, places, and things, that is how we cycle in life. That's how we evolve in life, is things are happening in our life for a reason, season, or lifetime, and being okay with the buckets that they fall in. People
Hmm.
are seasonal. They are, and it's okay. And it doesn't mean that this was a bad ending. It was just we fulfilled our purpose for this season and for this reason. But being okay with that 30-year-old
Yeah.
self now, I I think I have just I think I had to pat myself on the back for a decision I recently made that I'm like, girl, you got that thing. Like reason, season, lifetime. The time has come to an end, and it was a necessary ending. And I'm proud of this 40-plus-year-old self that said goodbye.
Wow.
That 30-year-old self, she was afraid to say goodbye. She was afraid to leave that job. She was afraid. This chick here, yeah, I'm pretty proud of her. But I'm thinking about that time at that 30-year-old self. If I would have brought things to an end when I knew that they had ended, again, life would be a little bit different for me. I just know it. But again, God is a restorer of our time. So, and he orders our steps. So, of course, that was a season that I needed to, I think, go through in order for this season in my life right now, in order for me to see these two phases of my life. Like, I would not have made this, I didn't make this decision at 30, but at this 40+ year old age, I'm making it and I'm okay. I'm
Amen.
okay.
That's good. Yours aligns with what I was thinking. 20 and 30-year-old me, it's okay to let go of things and people. I hold on to people too long. I say that I'm an eternal optimist. And so
Hmm.
I will check again. I check again. And that is evolve. One of my New Year things is this is one of my New Year mandates is to look again, but not from a holding on too long side of it. It's looking again when God instructs me, when I'm looking for something that is kingdom or godly or something like that. If I look the first time and it doesn't look like I thought it should look, don't just walk away, but look again. But this is different through a lens of faith versus trying to hold on to people and places and things that no longer serve my purpose. I would 20 and 30-year-old me, I would say it's okay to walk away from some things. Now, I don't know how people are going to feel about this one, but I'm going to say it anyway, because 50-year-old me learned this, and 20 and 30-year-old me could have saved herself some heartache and some pain had she understood this. And that is that don't allow the excuse of blood to tie you to toxicity.
Wow. I already know where
That
you at.
Yeah, and that's all I'll say. Like I
I feel
hear
you.
people saying, that's your family, that's your this. Not at the expense of my life and my sanity, my peace, my this and my that. And I didn't get that until a couple of years ago, until I was at a point where my stress level was having chest pains, not knowing that it was tied to stress, like trying
Mm.
to help people that wasn't asking for my help, and trying to 20 and 30-year-old me, 40 year old me never really got that. I thought that people needed me around, needed me too. And so now I it's borderline to the other extreme, but I'm moving back to where it's healthy. So
Well said.
um yeah, 30-year-old me, just because they're family doesn't mean you have to allow and accept. That's not the design for us. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, that yeah, no, no,
I'm
no.
glad you said no preaching on that because that right there, I'm telling you,
I know
that
it'll
right
preach,
there,
but we
that
not
right there.
preaching. We are giving advice to 20 and 30
Oh
year old
man.
me. This is another one. I know we can all agree with this. I kick myself in this area a lot. Money.
Oh,
Money.
Oh
20,
man.
20 and 30-year-old me, man, when I think about
oh man.
the money, the opportunities that have come through 20 and 30-year-old me's hands that I let go. When I think about the money that I've wasted, that's one side of it. And then investing. I just got into investing probably about 6, 7, 8 years ago. A friend of mine from Gary, Bahia Shabazz, you guys go check out her page, Brown Girls Do Invest. She just released introduction. I think it's called an Introduction to Investing on Amazon. Bahia might not even remember this, but I think we were in McDonald's off of Fifth Avenue about 6, 7, 8 years ago. And Bahia told me to invest in just a couple of things that you use on a regular basis. And so I invested in Verizon and Nike. Those were my everydays. And so I went from 2 stocks to, I think I have like 8. I even got some for my poo-poos and my daughter for Christmas. I keep them with my little portfolio, but I started investing a little bit, not a whole lot, but I'm watching it grow. 401ks, man, every position I had, I would start 401 and take that money out. You just imagine if I had the wisdom and the understanding that if 20 and 30-year-old me had a little bit of this invested, not credit card, Lord Jesus. So 20, 30-year-old me, get you one credit card and pay it off at the end of every month. I would tell 20 and 30-year-old me that. Save $1 a week. Can you imagine how rich we would be if at 20-year-old we saved $1 a week until now? That's $4 a month. $4 a month, 20 and 30-year-old me. I mean, what about you guys? Any money investing 20, 30-year-old me advice?
I wrote that down. I wrote save. Save, save, save. Especially, I had a paper out. I was working with my grandfather, just cutting down trees and hauling big wood. Man, at a young age, I was making money and I didn't have no bills. I would have said, burn, like my grandfather called me. Put that money to the side. My grandmama used to say, don't let that money burn a hole in your pocket. Oh my God. I'm buying oatmeal cream pies and sour cream and onion potato chips. Man, I'm telling you right now, that's why shopping right now don't matter to me. I don't have to have the most fashionable stuff. I don't have to have none of the name brand stuff. I'm not gonna say it's irrelevant, but I just know the value of the other things. If I would have known that, like you said, I would have been so rich. Antonio, at the age of 20, please save every time you get an opportunity. You can treat yourself once every now and again. Like right now, when I get paid, people always say treat yourself, stuff like that. I don't want to treat myself now. I want to wait till I'm at a level to where treat myself is I don't see it. If I want to take a cruise, I don't see that money missing because I'm at such a level. So, oh my God, saving is like the ultimate. I would have told myself that, please, Antonio, save every opportunity you get. You don't always have to have the best, most expensive stuff, but treat yourself every now and then. Oh my God.
That's good.
Great topic.
That's good. What about you, JoJo?
I would probably say, like I was say at 20, I was at 18, I was the moment I had a job, my parents like saving was required. That wasn't optional. So saving was one thing, but then getting into that world, like when I started working and 401k back then, everybody was matching dollar for dollar. I was in it, but didn't know how, I didn't understand really what that world was, how to, like you're talking about stocks and investing, different things, how to really make that money grow. Because it's not in how much money you can acquire, but your money really grows when it's invested in stock. So really taking the time to understand that, because I had the access. I was working at jobs and corporations that they're matching it, and investment options were endless. But now it's like trying to oh, Antonio, okay. All right, just trying to learn that language of investments and be, again, learning different risk levels to take with your money. Credit cards, that definitely, that 20-year-old self, them department credit cards at that age. Oh my
I
God.
wish I would have known. I wish I would have known.
Yeah,
the schools was notorious, like you're pre-approved, and you like, oh, you gonna give me a free pizza if I sign up for this credit card? Yeah, I want that free pizza because I'm hungry. And then now you got this $500 credit card.
Right. You
Then
paid
you got another
$500 for
$3.
that pizza.
That pizza, $1,000 in times interest. Oh my God, for a pizza that costs $5. But the credit card thing, I'm with you, Allie. You only need one to be able to do what you do and pay it off in full at the end of the month. That carrying over, thinking that that's money. I can just put it on a credit card. I can just put it on a credit card. Oh, I done maxed out on that $1,000 credit card. I'm gonna open up another credit card. They gave me $2,500. Oh my God, now I'm rich. Oh, we about to catch these flights now. So
God.
yeah,
That's
just
crazy.
manage.
Tony, I know you have to hop off. You can go ahead. Jolene and I are going to close it out, but thank you so much. And I'll share, thank you for your wisdom. Hope those 20 and 30-year-old nuggets are gold, and hopefully they encourage a 20 or 30-year-old to, glean and learn from, I'm calling them mistakes, but they are purposeful and destiny altered. So,
Thank
but
you.
thank you. You can hop off. We'll close out. I don't want to make you late.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Yeah, you guys. So we are wrapping up tonight's episode of Power of Love and Connection podcast. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I am so excited about this, having grown folks conversations about things that we all want to talk about, but really don't have a platform or a place to just talk about the things that matter to us. Tonight, we were talking about advice to your 20 and 30-year-old self. And this has been so good. I want to check the comments. Anybody have anything you want to share with us? I'm reading the comments right now to see if there are any advice to your 20 and 30-year-old self. I see Sylvester said, I don't expect me from other people. That trends with what Tony was saying. Jojo, you want to add something to that? Don't expect you and other people?
Good, those expectations that we have. We want people to treat us how we treat them. Ain't happening. Good point, Sylvester.
Ain't happening. Tain't happening.
Yeah.
Connie said, stop looking for love in all the wrong places is what I tell 20 and 30-year-old me. Ooh,
that's another lie.
That's another episode, Connie. Looking for love in all the wrong places. I think that's gonna be that'll be the next live episode we do, because I got some stuff to say about that. I have some stuff to say about looking for love in all the wrong places. Any other feedback, please drop it in the chat. We are about to end tonight. Okay. Jojo, this has been incredible. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. I know you're gone, but want to send a shout out. Tonight we were talking about advice to our 20 and 30-year-old selves. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. But I thank goodness that we're still here to share those stories. 20 and 30 didn't take us out.
Literally.
They did not take us out, and so I think that I said this at 40, and it's even more so at 50. I love the person that I've become. And I'm glad that some of the things that were important to me didn't consume me at 20 and 30, because they very well could have. Like I very well, none of it consumed me. One of my 2024 scripture focuses is that it's up here, you guys. I'm not just looking at the sky, but I have it's Isaiah 43:2. When you go in deep waters, I wrote it in first person because that's how I pray it, but it's when you go through deep waters, I will be with you, Allison. I put my name in my scriptures. When you go through the rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you. And so I feel like everything we're talking about tonight, the testimony is that none of it consumed us. I think God worked it all together for good, and we're here. We live to tell the tale.
Yes, yes. I mean,
Live to tell the tale. Do you have any closing remarks? We're gonna hop on off.
yeah,
Any
I mean,
closing?
I would just add that I think it is just it to be able to talk to that 20 and 30-year-old self, and like you said, and still be here. I had wrote a quote like, in life, you never lose, you either win or you learn. And I think these lessons in 20 and 30, while things might have been different, they were still working together for our good. And we didn't lose because we actually learned. So we're talking to that younger self because now in these ages and seasons of life, we learned from that 20. No, I did that when I was 30. I did that when I was 20. So you either win or you learn. And
That's
so
good.
it's good there because you learn. Now, if you still doing stuff in your big age that you was doing when you 20, that's another episode. But the mere fact that we can sit here and talk about what we learned about those different times and seasons of our lives, I I'm good with that. I'm good
That's
with that. I'm
good.
grateful for those moments and opportunities because I learned a lot during that time that it continues to shape this person and this person will shape that next version of me too.
That's really good. That's really good. Whoo, I love this topic. This is one that we will constantly revisit because I think that different guests on the show will have different, perspectives. You have different experience about what you would say to your 20 and 30-year-old self. Thank you so much, Jojo. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, audience. Thank you all who took the time to drop comments and feedback in the chat. Power and Love and Connection is a forum for us to have conversations about love, connection, and all of its many layers. And so we're unpacking it. Like we really are talking. We're talking about all the things that matter to us. If you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you have a topic that you love for us to, talk through, please send an email to powerofloveandconnection@gmail. You can also send me a Facebook Messenger. It really doesn't matter. However you can reach me, let me know. And please, please, please subscribe, you guys. When I first started this, of course, I was thinking I want to make some of that YouTube money like that. That's always my motivation. Oh, I got one more piece of advice to 20 and 30-year-old me. Start a business.
Oh yeah.
Start a business doing something that you're good at. Okay, 20 and 30-year-old. We're gonna talk about that later.
Put it in a
And
trust.
put it in a trust.
Put it
Yeah.
in a trust.
We'll be back. We'll be back with more 20 and 30-year-old me stuff. There's so much, you guys. But please subscribe. Oh, I was saying that when I started, of course, I was thinking about making YouTube money. Like I want some, but I am enjoying this so immensely, so thoroughly, having conversations with people that I'm connecting through from all kinds of different walks of life. But still subscribe. Still subscribe. Subscribe. This video is going to be live a little bit later this week, so you can watch it again. But thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful night. I'm going to check the chats one more time. Oh, Annette, cousin Annette said, enjoyed the part I caught. Sorry I was late. Never late to the party. It's that you were there. That you were there. Seal, so proud of you and happy for you. Thank you, Seal. Thank you all. Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Power of Love and Connection. Subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.